Speaker is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank the gentleman for yielding, and I thank him for giving us the opportunity to vote this evening on the James Zadroga 9/11 Health and Compensation Act. I thank you and Congresswoman Maloney for your leadership on this issue, as well as the entire New York delegation. Mr. Speaker, any time we enter discussion of 9/11, we are entering sacred ground. It is a place where there should be no disagreement as to our obligation to those who helped dig out and try to help clean up and recover at the scene of 9/11, at Ground Zero. When the 9/11 occurred, I don't think there would have been any question in anyone's mind that responding to it in this particular way was an emergency. It was an emergency. If there were ever an emergency in our country, responding to 11 was one. And so the objection that our colleagues make about paying for this, maybe we shouldn't pay for it, but we are. It's an emergency. It should be under emergency spending and investment. But in order to say, if we don't want to add to the deficit, we will pay for it, there is a pay for in the legislation that is about eliminating opportunities for tax evaders to avoid taxation, using the benefit of that to help make the people who came to the rescue and help rebuild and recover whole. On September 11th, 2001, again we enter this sacred ground, America stood in shock at the tragedy that unfolded at Ground Zero. In the days that followed, we stood inspired by the thousands of firefighters, rescue workers, first responders, medical personnel, construction workers who traveled to the scene of the attack to help New Yorkers clean up and recover. Many spent days, weeks, or months doing the hard work our government asked them to do in the recovery effort. Bound together by tragedy, their acts made them heroes. Their commitment reflected our unity as a people and a nation. Their courage gave us hope that we would emerge from these dark days stronger and more resilient than ever. The whole country watched, the whole world watched, frustrated in our own inability to be at the scene and to be helpful, grateful to those who were so brave, so courageous to make that sacrifice in a place that was uncertain in terms of its health aspects. Today we must act to offer those who were so courageous the assistance they earned through their bravery and their sacrifice. Again, I thank Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, Congressman Jerry Nadler, and the entire New York delegation for their work to bring this legislation to the floor. The American people are looking to us to do the right thing for the people, the men and women who answer the call of duty and continue to suffer from ill health effects on their service. It is my understanding that the people affected by this live in 433 of the 435 congressional districts, because people not only rushed in from New York and surrounding areas, they came and brought their expertise and their help from all over the country. And therefore, the consequences of their bravery are felt all over the country, and the impact on their health is an important part of the challenge that they face and that we owe them for. This legislation fulfills our obligation to those Americans, helping those who jeopardize their health to rescue others, secure necessary medical treatment, especially for the unique exposures suffered at Ground Zero, ensuring survivors and victims' families can obtain compensation for their tragic losses through a reopened 9/11 Victim Compensation Fund. My colleagues, you all remember that following 9/11, there was a compensation fund established for those families of those who lost their lives. Well, many of these people are losing their lives. They certainly have lost their health, and we owe them. This is not a time for any partisanship. This legislation is the least we can do to offer our gratitude and support to those heroes, those individuals who never ask for any recognition or accolades, who simply want the opportunity to live out their lives with health and happiness. And Americans will have a hard time understanding how any leader in Congress could oppose this critical assistance. Let's find a way to help these people, not let's look for ways not to. We must uphold our pledge to help every one of them. We must not desert them. We must join together as Democrats and Republicans to provide this critical assistance. I urge all of my colleagues to vote aye on the James Zadroga 9/11 Health and Compensation Act. And I thank our colleagues again, in a bipartisan way, in the New York delegation for giving us the opportunity to call attention once again to the bravery and courage of so many at that time. Words are totally inadequate, but by our deeds we can try to begin to express our gratitude. We owe them that. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.